How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. One of the things that I tell people to do at the beginning of this whole journey, before they start to quit drinking, before they step across that line and go into the new journey, is to just think about the reasons why they drink alcohol in the first place, right? Even go back to when you started out first, and think about some of those reasons why you took that first drink. So I want to go through 9 different reasons why people will take that first drink in the first place, right? The first one is peer pressure, right? We all know about that. It's, for me, it was a lot of my mates around, there's a few of them that are smoking. That was one of the reasons why I started smoking. Drinking was a different story, but the peer pressure is like, go on, have a drink, have a cigarette, what's wrong with you? Are you gay? Is there something, chicken, that, if courage, that kind of thing, I think women have a different sort of a version of that, but it's the same thing. You get peer pressure on you, and it's just when you're young and you've got a young mind, that kind of thing just gets into your head and sort of eats away at you, and eventually a lot of people give in, The tough ones don't. The tough ones are the ones that have got that self-control in the beginning. But, the problem is that when you're young, a lot of this brain area, the frontal cortex, which is it's responsible for decision making and for you making choices, all that kind of stuff, that's not developed until you're in your 20s, your middle 20s, maybe 24, 25 years of age. So when you're talking about teenagers, right, who are being put under massive amounts of pressure, it's very difficult to go up against that, The second one is perceived fun. You look at adults doing it and you think, that looks fun, what they're doing. They're laughing and they're joking and they're having fun. They're acting up. They don't normally do this. They only do this when they're drinking alcohol. So in my mind, that's what the perception is, right? That it's the fun doing that. The next one is stress. Kids are underneath stress. They're underneath mounting stress. Now, luckily, I think nowadays they've got other things that are occupying their minds. We can argue whether or not those things are good things or bad things, but there's other things that are pushing them away from alcohol, and there's fewer people that are getting addicted to substances. In my book, that's a good thing, right? But when I was growing up, there was just the stress of, again, it's going back to peer pressure. There's stress at school, there's stress in different areas of your life. You might not start drinking until you're in your late teens or your early 20s. And there's different stresses in life which sort of drive you towards doing something like this. You think it's fun, you think it's going to relieve your stress, so there's no problem with that. The fourth one is availability. It's just everywhere. Everyone can get it, unless you're in a country where they don't sell alcohol. You can get it. There's rules and regulations that say you're not allowed to drink in pubs until you're 18, 21, 23, whatever it is. You're not allowed to buy liquor in a liquor store until you're these ages. But, young people will circumvent these rules all the time and get a hold of this stuff. It's not that hard to do it, to get somebody who's older to go in there, to forge a, what do you call them, a name tag, an ID, that's it, and go in and do these kind of things. So that's the availability of it. The fifth one is that it's just aggressively and heavily marketed by the alcohol companies, and that marketing is aimed towards young people, right? It's not aimed towards people who are already drinkers, right, who are guaranteed to be drinkers. The only thing that's aimed towards them, the marketing, is the brand recognition. So you're trying to keep people into the brand for the rest of their lives. But actual drinking and getting people drinking in the first place, boom, 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 all aimed at the young people. And the younger the better, right? It's to try and get their minds into this belief that I can't wait until I get to 18 years of age so I can walk in the pub and buy my first beer, you know what I mean? So the next one is that it's just heavily accepted within society. It's within our customs. It's within the things that we do. It's part of the celebration, popping that cork for a celebration, right? That's so heavily linked to our society and to celebration in our society, to happiness, going down to the pub and drinking and meeting each other, and Cheers, the old program that used to be on TV, where everyone at the end of the day, when you look at that and you're not drinking, you see a bunch of alcoholics. It's just bunch of sad, lonely people who are having problems in their life and just meeting up in a pub. I've been there, you know, I know these kind of things. So number 7 is curiosity. You know, when you're young, you are curious about something that you haven't done before. You know, like I say, you go and you look at the adults, and the adults are having fun. You're wondering what it's like to get drunk. You know, what does it feel like to have this stuff? I mean, you taste it and it's fucking horrible, right? But what keeps you drinking is the fact that you want to feel what the adults are feeling. You know, obviously there is a wall that you need to push through. And once you push through that wall, then you're going to get to this nirvana state that you see everyone else doing. Because nobody tells you the bullshit. Everyone hides all the bad stuff about it, right? They don't want anyone to tell you. That's why you should never trust anyone when they say to you, well, you know, I don't drink that much. You know, you can listen to loads of people and you think then that you're the only one who's got a drinking problem. But people will not tell you how much they drink unless they're bragging about it. You know, the lads down the pub, oh, no problem, I can drink 20 pints, no worries at all, you know what I mean? But as soon as it comes down to, there's a problem, have you got a problem? No, I haven't got a problem at all, I can take it or leave it when I want to, you know what I mean? No problem at all for me. Another one is inhibition. And when I'm talking about inhibition, your shyness, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started drinking, was because I was shy. I was inhibited about talking to people, and taking alcohol just loosened me up and allowed me to do those things, right? But once the alcohol was gone, so was the inhibition came back, you know, the shyness came back. And it came back stronger because, you know, you're not learning these basic skills that everyone learns. I mean, all teenagers go through this. You know, no matter what part of the world you're from, you go through this. It's a building process, it's a maturing process. You go through this as part of your life. But if you try and short circuit it with alcohol or drugs, right, it doesn't help you to learn anything. You don't learn anything. So you tend to go through your life not having learned these lessons, and you have to learn them. You've got to learn them in order to stop. They're easy to learn. I mean, the older you get, the more self-confidence you get about yourself. You know, the mastermind program that we have, is the initial stages are about trying to get people to quit drinking alcohol. That's what we work on, right? So we prepare people for the first 14 days, so 2 weeks of preparation, 30 days of really concentrating on getting rid of the alcohol and getting to that 30-day mark. And then it's all about trying to develop the big picture in people's lives, right? And to trying to get them into, you know, self-confidence, into self-control, into pursuing a holistic life, you know, looking at things like your career, looking at things like your family, your relationships. It all matters, you know. You know, being a healthy person matters, you know. Going out and exercising, get out and out in the sun, it all matters. You know, this is all things that if you take one of these things out, you're missing something in your life. You know, and once you're missing those things in your life, then people start to look for what's missing in bad ways. You know, it's how a lot of people get into alcohol and drugs in later life. You know, they will stop drinking, but then they'll try and find something else to fill that hole, you know, that's missing. So this is what we're trying to teach. This is what I'm trying to teach all the time. Another one is rebellion. I've got number 10 here as well. I know I said 9, but rebellion is a lot of things when kids do, you know, they'll do the opposite of what their parents say to them. You know, I was guilty of that. My son was definitely guilty about that, you know. There's nothing you can do about a lot of that, but what you can do is try and steer your children in positive areas, you know, and try and give them a lot of decision making and responsibility early in their life, so that they're not all the time trying to rebel against you, you know. I think the stricter you are with your children, the more rebellious they're going to be. In my experience, I think you have to give them a certain amount of rope. You have to give them a lot of rope in their early life in order to make mistakes, but just try and guide those mistakes and stuff, you know. So that's the 9th reason. The 10th reason I've got down here is they see it as a normal transition. Now, for me, that is one of the most insidious parts of this whole thing, right? And it's the fact that when you get to 18 or 19 or 21 or 23, whatever it is in your country, that being able to go in and buy a beer for yourself is like a transition into your adult life. It's like going from a child and into a kid. So psychologically, you're trapped then in this thinking of, I have to be, if I'm an adult, I have to drink. This was the transition, this drinking was a transition into adulthood. So I have to keep drinking. This is part of who I am as an adult, as a man. And I want to be a man. I don't want to go back to being a child again, right? And it's only when you get to see the consequences of what you've been doing to yourself after a long time that you start to really rethink these things, and it does have, creates a big conflict in your mind. I hope you can hear this today. It's a beautiful, warm, sunny day, but there's a breeze coming from behind me. I've got the microphone here, so I'm trying to shield it as much as I can, So I hope you've heard what I said today. If you want any help at all with quitting drinking alcohol, we've got like I said, we've got the Mastermind program. We've also got some free stuff. Just come over to alcoholmastery.com. On the front page there, you'll see a thing. Just leave your email address and I'll send you out a few different bits and pieces to try and just reprogram your mind a bit, to try and get you into that frame of mind where you're thinking about this from a positive and an intelligent perspective. Why am I doing this to myself? Try and put two and two together and come up with the proper solutions for you. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Take very good care of yourself. Keep the alcohol out of your mouth. Onwards and upwards. Take care. Bye bye now.